Hi, I'm here with Dr. Joel Swisher, who is the director of the Institute for Energy Studies right here at Western Washington University. Joel, thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate you having me.
My pleasure.
So you're relatively new here to campus.
Yeah, I've been on campus now about 6 months. I moved here from Boulder, Colorado.
So you're here for the director, to be the director of the Institute for Energy Studies. Tell us a little bit about what that is and what it actually means.
So the Institute is really a collaboration of 3 of our colleges. It's the Huxley College for the Environment, College of Science and Engineering, and the College of Business and Economics. And we have now, as of just the last couple of years, hired about a half a dozen new faculty members who are joint appointments in the Institute and a department in one of those 3 colleges. So they might be economics, they might be engineering, they might be environmental science, for example.
Define energy. What will students be learning when we're talking about energy?
Yeah, it's really important to take the right perspective if you want to get kind of the right answer when you think about energy. And by the right perspective, I mean the bottom up, to look at what drives all of our energy system. And what drives it is the need for energy to provide services that we use every day, whether it's lighting our office, heating our house, driving our car, manufacturing a product. All of those things entail services. We joke about, we don't care about kilowatt hours and gallons of gas. What we care about is, warm showers and cold beer.
Right.
Unless you're British and you like it the other way around.
Yeah, cold beer then warm showers.
But it's still a service, right? But the main thing is, if you look at it from that perspective, then you start to say, well, now wait a minute. We don't necessarily need as many huge power plants belching as much dangerous pollution if we can manage the technology in that chain of getting energy from the raw resource through the conversion process to the end use to become that service. If we use more efficient lighting, vehicles, industrial processes, heating and cooling, all that stuff that has all kinds of scope for innovation in technology, business models, policy, then we can use energy efficiency as a resource to replace a lot of the polluting resources that we'd rather use less of. And oh, by the way, the demographics are unbelievable for our students. Everybody who knows how to do anything in an energy utility these days is probably over 60. And one of these days, there's going to be a lot of retirements and a lot of need to replace those folks, not just at the entry level, but all the way up the ladder. So, from the students' perspective, I tell them they're going to be running the place in no time.
Yeah.
And that's just the utilities, but also in construction and engineering, businesses, in different levels of government, again, local, state, regional. So I interviewed and hired dozens of graduates, people with bachelor's degrees, with master's degrees, and often I had really interesting conversations with people who just didn't have a chance to get hired in our program because they just didn't have the toolkit to help me on day one. I want to make sure the students have that. At the same time, they're getting this broad Western education, with a good perspective. They understand the environmental issues, they understand policy, but they've got some depth too. And it's a really fine line to walk and a really narrow target to hit.
Being a green school that we are, energy obviously is a really important topic. Explain a little bit more about how a student would go into the program and also what a student would get out of the program.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of different programs that we have now. There's an energy policy minor, which has been on the books now for a couple of years. We have, I think, a dozen or more graduates this year in the graduating class have completed that minor. We also have a new energy science minor that's obviously more science-oriented, which is just brand new, and there'll be students in that over the next couple of years. We have our first full degree program, a Bachelor of Arts in Energy Policy and Management. It's designed so that this year's freshmen could, easily fulfill the requirements, and probably some of this year's sophomores, if they so choose, could join that program and graduate on time.
What is the greatest challenge that the energy industry right now is facing, and what are some of the great opportunities at the same time that our students are getting an opportunity to be able to address?
I think it's the integration of all that stuff. We have to deal with all the old legacy hardware and technology, and we can't just close the existing power plants and risk that we'll have blackouts. But we have to gradually replace it with a newer, cleaner, and more efficient system. And how do you do that? When it means adding more power supply, say from wind power, that tends to vary in time, and you have to manage that as you rely on that kind of a resource. We need to work on the technology side, but also on the policy side, and especially on developing new business models and business cases for clean energy and for integrating it with the existing system in a way that maintains all the things that we rely on, all that super reliable electricity and fuel supplies and those energy services, that our beer is cold and our showers warm. But at the same time, we see the emissions footprint start to go back down.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
My
and
pleasure.
yes, I agree. Actually, for me, I'm sort of in between. I like cold beer and a hot shower sort of at the same time. Sometimes you just have a day like that.
Okay, well, just don't play your electric guitar in that shower and you'll be all right.
Right on. All right, this is Dr. Joel Swisher, who is the director of Western's Institute for Energy Studies. Joel, thank you so very much.
My first year here, and people were knocking on my practice room door and saying like, Mimi, come out, there's sunset. And I'm like, please, I'm practicing. The sun's gonna set tomorrow as well. So that happened a few times. Finally, one day, I said, okay, I'm gonna just come out and see the stupid sunset with you just this once so that you'll leave me alone and I can practice. And so I went out with a group of music students.